companies that run $2.4 trillion worth of money market funds in America got a bit of a reprieve this week. Mary Shapiro, who runs the Securities and Exchange Commission, wanted some reforms to avoid some of the problems that happened during the crisis. She couldn't even persuade the other commissioners at the SEC to put them up for public comment. Agnes, this seems like a bit of a cop-out.
It's a little bit surprising because it seemed like it had a little bit of momentum there.
Lots of other regulators behind it too,
exactly.
right? The Fed, the
exactly. And I mean, I think this is one of these cases where it seems like all the regulators were on the same page on this, but there were.
It doesn't necessarily mean they're right, of course, but
yeah.
It's stronger than usual.
It's stronger than usual, and I think part of the issue is money market funds. I mean, a lot of people think of them as like savings accounts, but they're also part of the broader global financial system. And and there were problems with these money market funds during 2008 that kind of exposed that there's some danger here if you don't put some measures in place.
Of course, because as soon as the money market funds can be as short as overnight, so as soon as they get in trouble, everyone worries that the rest of the system must be in trouble. So I mean, it's like the flashpoint.
Yeah, it is that, but I mean, there's also this point like if people start drawing their money out of money market funds, it's also drawing money out of the entire kind of financial system.
Because they participate in repo markets and which affects banks and so on.
I mean, and this is why I think regulators are all on the same page on this, because they kind of see it as a systemic problem.
So what's the objection?
The obvious objection is that, if you make it even harder for these funds to make money, which it would, if you put in safeguards, it's going to actually...
Everything's going to make it more expensive.
It'll make it more expensive, right? And they're already dealing with a low interest rate environment, so they don't want to see that, and they're afraid that their customers are basically going to pull their money out and go somewhere else.
So what's stopping the SEC? I mean, Shapiro's obviously in favour of it.
Yeah, but the way
there was one guy on one of the SEC commissioners that used to work for one of the big money market managers. I
mean, the issue with the SEC is you need to get a majority of the commissioners. There are 5 of them. 2 were opposed outright. Mary Shapiro was in favor. She had another commissioner, and there was one commissioner who was the swing vote. And this week he decided to basically say he didn't want it to be tabled.
So what happens next?
Yeah, it could be messy, right? I mean, because of the systemic issue of money market funds, you could have other regulators kind of exerting their jurisdiction, right? I mean, you have Treasury, you have the New York Federal Reserve, but again...
But that is messy, right?
That is messy.
The only thing, Treasury, the FSOC, this sort of super regulatory body, all they could do is say that all these funds are systemically important, and some of them are not very big. It's just the aggregate that's big.
Yeah.
So this starts to get messy.
Again, it's an indirect way to get at the problem, which, I mean, the irony here may be the industry really fought this, but the irony may be there may be more unintended consequences.
They may get a worse option.
So they may end up having to be treated as systemically important financial institutions like JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs.
Exactly.
That's
again,
a lot of burden
I think this is all, it's still developing, and it's still unclear whether the other regulators, like how successful they'll be. But again, I think this is one of these issues that you come out of 2008, and you just kind of sigh, like, how is this possible that there's something that we identified as a systemic problem, and we're unable to fix it.
Okay, we'll leave it there. We'll be following regulation in the United States, and we will have more breaking views next week.